What if I told you the richest men on this planet didn't amass wealth with clean hands, but with the breath of the dead? Imagine a ledger so heavy that every entry is a life snuffed out, a family shattered, a nation burned. In the shadows of the modern world, 5 architects of decay built empires by turning murder, addiction, and terror into cold, hard cash. Today we crack open that book, read the names written in blood-red ink, and expose the true price of their empires. We measure wealth not in dollars, but in the gravity of the sins required to earn it. This is a forensic audit of souls, a moral accounting that adds up every life lost to greed. Recent declassifications, leaked ledgers, and relentless investigative journalism have finally given us the tools to tally the true cost of the darkness that fuels the global economy. By the end of this exploration, you will understand the exact mechanisms each man used to turn murder into money, how their fortunes still echo in today's markets and politics, and what the global ledger looks like when the numbers are finally added up. Let's turn the first page, the king who burned a nation to ash. Pablo Escobar, the king of ash, ruled the streets of Medellin with a fire that could not be contained. He once described money as a nuisance, a weight that threatened to slow him down. To keep his children warm and his rivals trembling, he burned billions of pesos in a single night, setting fire to cash piles the size of small houses. That blaze was not just a display of wealth, it was a strategic tax, a way to destroy evidence, intimidate competitors, and literally heat the hearts of the children he claimed to love. The environmental fallout was catastrophic. Rivers turned black with chemicals, families displaced as entire neighborhoods turned to ash, and a new species of rats thriving on the remnants of his empire. A survivor of those nights recalled hearing the crackle of flames and feeling a cold void where screams should have been. The scent of burned paper still haunts the streets, a reminder that his fortune rotted in the ground, ignored even by the scavengers that fed on it. Escobar's story is a stark reminder that the true cost of a fortune can be measured in the lives it devours. If you felt the weight of that tragedy, smash that like button. Let the world know those flames are not forgotten. Now, imagine a man who took his empire to the skies, a man who owned the very air that carried death across continents. That was Amado Carrillo Fuentes, known as the Lord of the Skies. He commanded a fleet of black-painted Boeing aircraft that lifted 30 tons of cocaine per flight, turning the clouds into moving vaults of poison. The sky became his ledger, each takeoff a line item of blood and addiction. His end came not in a gunfight, but on an operating table, where a scalpel stained with his own blood turned a plastic surgery chair into a death trap. Surgeons later said they realized too late that the patient they were cutting into was not just a man, but a moving mountain of illicit wealth. Even today, the routes he established are still used by cartels, proof that no amount of gold can buy a face the Reaper won't recognize. We have only begun to turn the pages of this ledger. In the next chapters, we will travel to the mist-shrouded peaks of the Golden Triangle, where Kunsa forged a kingdom of opium, and to the subterranean veins beneath the border, where Joaquin El Chapo Guzman engineered tunnels that pumped poison into the heart of the world. Finally, we will confront the ghost in the machine, Semyon Mogilevich, whose invisible strings still tug at the fabric of the global economy. Stay with me, because if this is opening your eyes, hit subscribe and let's keep digging deeper together. What do you think about a world where souls are counted as currency? Leave your thoughts in the comments. I really want to hear your perspective. Every harvest season, the valleys echoed with the clatter of makeshift presses, the grinding of poppy stems into a dark viscous resin that would later be refined into heroin and shipped across continents. The revenue poured in like blood from a wound that never healed, fueling a network of corruption that seeped into the highest echelons of power. Officials who once wore crisp uniforms were bought with bundles of cash hidden in bamboo trunks, their loyalties shifting like the monsoon winds. Beggars who once tilled the soil for their families found themselves forced into labor, their children conscripted as child soldiers to guard the poppy fields, their futures traded for a fleeting moment of profit. The human cost of Kunsa's empire was staggering. Families were torn apart, entire villages abandoned as the cartel's influence grew. Addiction spread like wildfire, a tide that reached from the streets of Bangkok to the back alleys of London. Each needle, a tiny reminder of the jungle's reach. The world's heroin addiction surged, a silent epidemic that claimed lives in the shadows, its source traced back to the mountains where poppy flowers opened under a blood-red sunrise. If you can feel the weight of those lives being bartered, let that feeling guide you to the comment section. ¿Qué opinas? How does a single man's ambition ripple through generations of suffering? Share your thoughts, because every perspective adds another line to this ledger. From the jungle's mist, we descend into the earth, into the labyrinthine tunnels that cut through rock and sand like veins pumping poison into the heart of the world. Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, the Tunal architect, turned the border between two nations into a playground of engineering marvels. His tunnels stretched for miles, some reaching lengths that would make the ancient aqueducts of Rome jealous. Within those dark corridors, rail tracks were laid, ventilation systems installed, and even lighting rigs set up to mimic daylight. The tunnels were more than simple passages. They were sophisticated supply routes, each equipped with electric generators, water pumps, and escape pods that could be sealed at a moment's notice. The sheer audacity of building such an underground empire is staggering. Workers, often recruited from impoverished villages, toiled in cramped conditions, their faces smeared with dust and sweat. They were paid in cash that smelled of gunpowder and fear, a currency that bought them a brief reprieve from the crushing poverty of their hometowns. Yet the price they paid was far higher than any paycheck could reflect. Money never saw the light of day again, swallowed by collapses or caught in the deadly crossfire between rival factions. El Chapo's most infamous moment came when he escaped from a maximum security prison, emerging from a tunnel that had been dug with the precision of a surgeon's scalpel. The escape was a cinematic tableau, a hole in the floor, a network of corridors leading to a hidden chamber, a motorcycle waiting for his departure. That night, the world watched as a man once thought untouchable vanished into the darkness, his freedom bought with the blood of countless innocents. Even after his recapture, the tunnels he left behind continued to pulse with activity. Modern cartels have inherited his blueprints, refining them with new technology, using drones to map out new routes, and employing engineers who study his designs in secret. The legacy of El Chapo is a reminder that infrastructure can be weaponized, that a simple hole in the ground can become a conduit for devastation. If you're struck by the ingenuity behind those underground passages, let a like be the echo of your appreciation. It's a small gesture, but it signals that the world should not forget the hidden arteries that feed the drug trade. Now we turn to the final chapter of this ledger, the ghost in the machine, Semyon Moghilevich, the brainy Don. While the other architects built empires of fire, air, earth, and tunnels, Moghilevich built an empire of code and whispers, a network that infiltrated the very fabric of the global economy. He is a man whose wealth is incalculable not because of the physical cash he hoarded, but because he wove his influence into the invisible threads that bind nations together. Moghilevich's operations were a masterclass in cybercrime and financial manipulation. He orchestrated a series of shell corporations that spanned continents, each one a facade that concealed the flow of illicit funds. Through a labyrinth of bank accounts, offshore trusts, and encrypted messaging platforms, he moved money with the ease of a conductor guiding an orchestra. His reach extended into legitimate businesses, from timber mills in the heart of Eastern Europe to high-tech startups in the bustling streets of Asia. By investing in these enterprises, he not only laundered his processes, but also gained leverage over political figures who relied on his capital to fund infrastructure projects. One of his most audacious schemes involved a multinational corporation that produced agricultural equipment. On the surface, the company appeared to be a beacon of progress, providing farmers with modern machinery that promised higher yields. Beneath that veneer, however, the corporation served as a conduit for funneling billions in illegal profits into the pockets of corrupt officials. The money was then used to fund private armies, to bribe law enforcement agencies, and to secure votes in elections that shaped policy in favor of organized crime. The true horror of Mohilevich's empire lies in its intangibility. Unlike the burning cash piles of Escobar or the towering fleets of Carrillo Fuentes, his wealth is hidden in the zeros and ones of digital ledgers, in the silent transactions that pass through servers in far-off data centers. He has been described as a phantom, a name that appears on intelligence dossiers but never on a wanted poster. The very nature of his operations makes it difficult for authorities to pin down his assets, allowing him to continue pulling strings from the shadows. Even when law enforcement agencies attempted to dismantle his network, they found themselves ensnared in a web of legal loopholes and diplomatic immunity. International banks, fearing the loss of lucrative contracts, turned a blind eye to suspicious transfers. Politicians, funded by his donations, passed legislations on money laundering. In this way, Mohilevich's influence seeped into the corridors of power, ensuring that his ledger remained balanced in his favor. The legacy of the brainy Don is a stark reminder that the modern world's most dangerous weapons are not guns or planes, but algorithms and financial instruments that can move fortunes faster than any aircraft. As we stand at the crossroads of technology and morality, his story forces us to ask, how many hidden ledgers are still out there, balancing the lives of the innocent against the profit of the ruthless? If this revelation about the invisible empire resonates with you, consider sharing the video with someone who might not yet see the hidden dangers of digital finance. A simple share can be the spark that ignites a broader conversation about accountability in our interconnected world. We have now opened 5 pages of the Ledger of Souls, each entry a testament to the depth of human depravity when power is measured in the breath of the dead, from the ashes that consumed the nation, to the skies that carry poison across continents, from the mist-shrouded jungles that yielded opium to the subterranean veins that pump drug-laden blood, and finally to the ghostly strings that tug at global economies. The pattern is unmistakable. Wealth asked through murder, addiction and terror leaves a scar that never truly heals. The question remains, what will we as a collective do with this knowledge? Will we turn a blind eye, allowing the ledger to continue filling, or will we strive to rewrite the narrative to hold those who profit from death accountable? The answer lies not in the pages of a book, but in the actions of each of us who chooses to watch, to speak, and to act. If this journey through darkness has opened your eyes, let that be reflected in a like, a comment, or a subscription. Your engagement is more than a metric. It is a signal that the ledger cannot remain hidden forever. Together, we can shine a light on the corners where these architects of decay hide, and perhaps, in time, we can begin to balance the scales. So, as the final ink dries on this chapter, remember that every soul counted, every life taken adds weight to a world that often forgets its own humanity. Keep questioning, keep listening, and keep demanding that the true cost of power be laid bare for all to see. The ledger is open, and its pages are waiting for the next chapter, one that we write together.